need your assistance. There's a group journeying to usurp us and they must be stopped.
Do you want them captured alive?
Only the overseer named Kian. We want to extract information on the whereabouts of the others exiled on the ocean planet.
Your command is heard. I will trap them at the night of the Scavengers.
Welcome to the quest for the Green Ball! War Within! And what an opening to our new season. Wild NFL results and usual Week 1 shenanigans with strange scores, star duds, and random plays wreaked havoc on our projections. And injuries didn't help either. Just ask Remember the Titans, who took on defending champion Pounders in a rematch of last season's Green Ball in the last Pounders running back stepped up with a couple of touchdowns and a 95.02 to 64.88 win. Chuba Hubbard added 89 yards and Josh Jacobs had 70 yards. Trade pickup CD Lamb collected 110 yards. But it was player to watch Justin Fields who really stepped up. 218 passing yards, 48 rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns. Fields looked competent in his first week with the Jets and was certainly able to look dangerous with his legs, which will bode well for Pounders this season if that continues. Remember, the Titans did not get a similar performance from his player to watch, Drake May. May had 287 passing yards, which isn't bad, only 11 rushing yards, had 1 touchdown and an interception, not going to get it done. Jackson Smith and Jigba added 124 yards, but did lose a fumble. Worst of all, Drake London and George Kittle were banged up, with Kittle actually ending up on IR with a hamstring injury, which is terrible news. Not the best start to the season, but there's a long way to go. And these first 3 weeks are all non-divisional matchups. The rest of the league also had interesting matches, and let's see who else was able to, start 1-0 like our defending champ Pounders. The Stars, all right, took back the cash of Mentats from rival Loki Lebowski Thord in 86.12 to 56.02 win. Jaden Daniels looked decent with 233 passing yards, 68 rushing yards, and a touchdown. Devon Achane had a garbage time TD that saved his score. And Puka Nacua looked like a potential target beast with 131 yards, caught 10 passes on 11 targets. It ended up being Kaimi Fairbairn with 2 50-plus yard field goals in the Vikings defense with 2 sacks and a fumble recovery that actually ended up leading the way here. Not the best game by Joe Burrow or Chase Brown for Lebowski Thor. Jameson Williams also faltered. All 3 are still expected to have big seasons, so no need to panic yet. It was all the Clash at Demon Head in a 98.62 to 75.52 win over the Stellar Bitches. Christian McCaffrey had 142 yards and will most likely get more touches with that Kittle injury. James Cook had 102 yards and a score and looks dangerous in the Buffalo offense, as does Zay Flowers in the Ravens offense, who beasted with 151 yards and a touchdown. Even Travis Swift caught a touchdown for the Clash at Demon Head. Bijan Robinson did have 100 receiving yards, 24 rushing yards, and a touchdown to lead the Stellar Bitches. Golden Ticket spoiled the league debut of the Fighting Mooses in a 95.16 to 82.28 win. Lamar Jackson was the reason with his 209 passing yards, 70 rushing yards, and 3 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts did have 2 rushing touchdowns and actually looked pretty good. Those weren't tush pushes for the Fighting Mooses. And the Broncos D looked like one of the best in the league with 6 sacks and 2 fumble recoveries. But Kenneth Walker looked like a backup running back. And what happened to Nico Collins? Major disappointment in week 1, though I do feel like Collins, his game was an anomaly most likely. The Overcomers rode on the back of Josh Allen in a 116.56 to 68.1 beatdown against Treat 'em and Eat 'em. Allen had 394 passing yards, 30 rushing yards, and 4 touchdowns in an epic game. Saquon Barkley also still looked pretty good despite only having 84 yards and a touchdown. But Xavier Worthy's injury is one to watch for the Overcomers, not what they wanted to see. Deebo Samuel was the lone bright spot for Treat 'em and Eat 'em with 96 yards and a score. Finally, in what ended up being the highest scoring matchup, Thorlacher bested Green Acres 112.22 to 100.48. Derrick Henry was a big reason why with his 182 yards and 2 touchdown performance. He did lose a fumble late, but it didn't matter. Patrick Mahomes also added a couple of scores, and the rookie Janty stepped up with a touchdown as well. Green Acres was all about Baker Mayfield's 3 scores and nice games by Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. Justin Jefferson also came to life late on Monday, but it wasn't the beast game he needed. Overall, this matchup featured some of the best touchdown highlights of the league, but in the end, it was Thorlacher. And of course, this is where the divisions stand after 1 week. The Overcomers holds the points tiebreaker over My Stars Are Right in the Dream Division. Thorlacher holds the points tiebreaker over the clash at Demon Head and Pounders in the Shadow Division, which has 3 1-0 teams right now. And Golden Ticket is the lone team in first place in the Power Division, which looked like the weakest division with the 3 0-1 teams. But now that we know where we are, it's time to look ahead to week 2 as we continue on this journey. And in our next, it is going to be a battle of 2 0-1 this so far legacy teams as 2-time champion Loki Lebowski Thor and former champion Green Acres square off at the ruins of Shealladh. Let's return to our story before diving deep into this matchup.
I don't like this. There's the smell of death in the air.
This place is either very old, or a terrible battle took place here.
Kian, what is this place? I can feel the dreams of those who've died here. What happened?
We have reached the ruins of Shealladh. This is the stage of the first battle between the elders and the overseers, the actual start of our war. The city was our capital, not just for the overseers, but for the Master Realm. Some Cetons and Bisus had already left to go spread chaos in the other realms, so we decided with the Elder Council to use this city as our dual base to allow the peaceful governing of the Master Realm and to discuss the plans for the other realms, to protect them from the shadows and the chaos.
I assume this battle did not go well for your people.
The attack was a surprise, a power play by the Elders. They summoned creatures from the core of this planet through their elder magic, made them living, thinking beings, but ones that only obeyed them. We call them the Scavengers, because after they did the Elders' bidding, they stuck around the surface and fed on anything dead, plants, animals, and of course us. This battle weakened us because our High Council was here at the time of the attack. Those of us not killed were exiled to the ocean planet, forced to secretly govern in caves.
I assume you are one of the survivors. If the others are exiled, why are you here?
I was not a member of the High Council back then. I was the leader of one of the remaining outposts. We created a secure telepathic communication with the exiled and crafted a plan. The elders believed they'd won. They paid for their lack of respect. We drove the Elders back from this place in a coordinated effort across the planet. This place now serves as a warning. The Overseers are not going to fall that easily.
And what of you and the other outposts?
We all joined the remaining few on the ocean planet, and a new council was born. Now, I'm one of 7 leading the Overseers.
But if the elders remained here, wouldn't they have fought back? Why did they not seek you out on this ocean planet? How could they not know you are back?
We created a seal to keep the Elders out of our spaces, and created secret connections in all of the sections of this planet on the way to the Temple of the Eye. This is how we can be guided through the dangers, as we will need to travel through Elder territory.
Well, that seems too good to be true to me. I assume there's something else you're not telling us.
I think it is best that we distract ourselves with the next big match with your friends. Will Loki Lebowski Thor ever get back to the dominance of his early league career? Is this the week we see his power? Can Green Acres shake the stench of auto-draft failure from a year ago with his drafted running backs and sound defensive streamer strategy?
I must say that connecting in our dreams made the graveyard a little bit better of a hike.
But what about the dangers? You make it sound like we will easily finish our journey.
I must apologize for giving false hope. Just because the Elders cannot enter our safe spaces doesn't mean that the Scavengers or other minions of the Elders can't. Remember the smell of death, Constance? It's not death. It's the stench of the Scavengers. Beware. They are most likely on the way to intercept and destroy us.
The next game of the week is going to be intense if the projections are correct, because the computers say this is a 50-50 toss-up. But Joe Burrow will need to become the late-season Joe Cool and not the early-season bungling up fool. This is because Baker Mayfield showed he can still sling it in Tampa Bay, and Green Acres will be looking for another strong performance from him. Chase Brown is another player that Lebowski Thor needs to step up, with Kyron Williams getting so much volume on the other side. Jameson Williams needs to bounce back too with his skill and potential for big plays. Justin Jefferson found a rapport with his new quarterback and could be in for a better game in week 2. Trey McBride has a huge advantage over Evan Ingram, and Chris Boswell seems to be the better kicker. Defense will be big here, especially if it is a close matchup. The Ravens just got steamrolled by Buffalo, so they will hope to bounce back against the Browns. And the Cardinals have a good matchup against Carolina on the other side. Lebowski Thor will also need to play the correct players to counteract Garrett Wilson and Travion Henderson. Right now, Eckler and Ridley are in the lineup, but Quentin Johnson was picked up off waivers. And this leaves 2 players I'm going to highlight, like I always do for these games of the week. For Lebowski Thor, I'm looking at wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. of Jacksonville. Thomas had 7 targets in week 1, but only pulled in an 11-yard reception. He did add a rushing touchdown, which kind of saved his score. But last season, Thomas had 1,282 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns. So that is the kind of season-long production Lebowski Thor is hoping for in 2025, the reason why Thomas Jr. was drafted by him. The trouble is that Thomas Jr. essentially had no competition a year ago. And this year, rookie Travis Hunter is going to take away targets. The tight end Brenton Strange also had targets last week. And then there's the strange case at ETN, who looked like his 2022 self in week 1. And if the running game gets going, the Jaguars might just lean on it, not pass as much. Still, Thomas Jr. is clearly a talented receiver and is still considered the number 1 in Jacksonville. He'll get production. The question is, will it be consistent? He gets a golden opportunity to bounce back here in week 2, though, against the Bengals, which ranked 25th in total defense a year ago. The Bengals did hold the Browns in check last week, but the Jaguars have more talent if Lawrence can limit mistakes. A dud here, Lebowski Thor might be edged in a high-scoring match, but if Thomas Jr. plays like he did last year and has a big game, it could help wash the taste out of Lebowski Thor's mouth, the anguish of losing the cache of Mentats for the year to the stars are right squad. For Green Acres, I look to running back Breece Hall of the Jets, who slid in our fantasy draft this season. Hall was considered a top running back a year ago and was a bust of epic proportions. But in a run-heavy Jets offense with the option of having Justin Fields run the ball, Hall racked up 5.6 yards per carry last week, finishing with 107 yards. He also had 38 yards through the air against the Steelers defense. This could be a good sign that the talent of Hall will not go to waste this season on the Jets. And if Hall starts to put up numbers everyone expected last season, look out. There are caveats, though. One, Justin Fields is a vulture for rushing touchdowns. And two, Braylon Allen also gets touches out of the backfield. The Jets could very easily go with the hot hand every week. Also, this is the Jets. Their Week 1 offensive performance might not be the norm. Still, if Fields continues to do well running the ball, it could leave holes open for Hall to make plays. And if Hall returns to elite status, Green Acres might not just be celebrating a win here in this week, but might become a Green Bowl title favorite by the end of the season. If Hall sputters and has a down game, though, the questions might be more than just how to bounce back from another tough loss. This one should be a classic, at least on paper. We thought last week was going to be a classic too, and it turned into a blowout. You just never know. We're going to see. But we do have other interesting matchups in our league coming up as well. 1-0, the Stars are right. Hopes Jaden Daniels, Puka Nacua, and Devon Achan can lead them against the Bijan Robinson, Elvin Kamara-led squad of 0-1, the Stellar Bitches. Look out for the 49ers defense against the Saints, and for an A.J. Brown bounce back too. The Stellar Bitches are not going to be easy. 1-0, the Clash at Demon Head looks for a big game out of Christian McCaffrey and continuing performances by James Cook and Zay Flowers. 0-1, remember the Titans needs Jamar Gibbs and Jackson Smith and Jigma from the latter half of 2024, but look out for sleeper Emeka Ibuka as well. We also have a new rivalry match between two league rookies. 0-1, the Fighting Mooses takes on 0-1 Shreed'em and Yeed'em for the Boo Boo Bus. And also for someone's first career league win, the Fighting Mooses are expected to get a Nico Collins bounce back this week, and will look for Collins and Malik Neighbors to combine big with Jalen Hurts. Treat 'em and eat 'em will look for Jonathan Taylor, the Sun God, and Deebo Samuel to bring them their first win. 1-0 Golden Ticket takes on 1-0 defending champion Pounders in a huge early season match. Lamar Jackson versus Justin Fields might just be must-watch fantasy television. Jamar Chase versus CeeDee Lamb is a pretty good matchup too. This one's filled with stars. 1-0 Thorlacker looks to ride Derrick Henry and Patrick Mahomes again against Josh Allen and Saquon Barkley of the Overcomers. Also 1-0. Also, is ETN back? Thorlacker's hoping so that he could text ETN in our group chat all day long. The Jaguars sure think he is with the trade of Tank Bigsby. This one should be a very, very good matchup between two teams that had some of the best scores last week. We're guaranteed to have at least 2 undefeated teams in Week 3, but we may have as many as 4 undefeated teams left. We're just going to have to see. Early in the season, it is very rare that we get any clarity, and divisional matchups haven't even begun yet as we've changed up our schedule a little this year, but no one wants to start 0-2, so several teams will be playing tough to avoid that hole. It should be another interesting week with it usually taking about 4 weeks for our star players and any player really to hit their stride with no one playing in the preseason anymore. That's the show for the week! Hope you enjoyed it. Join us next week as we continue our epic theme story and get ready for another round of non-divisional showdowns. Until next time, salut. And before you go, check out the updated power rankings.